Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL. I decided to just go ahead and dive in with Gameweek 1 tips here. I'd actually thought about taking a break from fantasy, but you know, it's the day before Premier League starts, so might as well just dive in feet first here. Um, so, looking here, this is I guess this is actually about my third or fourth draft of my team right here. Um, and was thinking, I don't know, I'm still have a lot of things up for debate here. One of the things that I've been looking at is I feel like a lot of the team is going to be, a lot of most teams here this season are going to be based around who you go with as far as your goalkeeper and defense setup. For now, I have the Hennessy Fabianski set up here. The two of them last season raked in some decent points. The main thing had to do with their save points. A lot of value there as far as their 4.5 price tag compared to some of these others like Ederson and De Gea at 6 and 5.5. So as you can see, Fabianski is only had 1 point fewer than Ederson last season, despite currently being, a full million less. Now, this is where it does get a little bit tricky, because if you do go with somebody like De Gea, he's going to start. Picked up 18 clean sheets last season. Ended up playing in, I don't remember exactly how many. Sorry, I didn't do a ton of extra research like I normally do, but played in, I think, 35, 36 matches last season. So anyway, he's not going to get rotated. He's going to play nearly every match of the season. Had 2 more clean sheets than Ederson did. The main thing with De Gea is he does pick up the saves. I think I heard 115 saves. So the next closest here, you look at Ederson, only 58 saves. Now that does bode well if you're going to be going in picking up some of the City defenders. So that's where I'm saying, how do you want to build your team? So looking at other options as far as goalkeepers go, sorry about that. Let's find goalkeepers here. There is some, you could go with a Pickford. The only problem there is he's still away on World Cup duty. Same with Lloris here. Now, looking at somebody like Losel from Huddersfield, the only issue is you do kind of run into not that one. You do run into the issue of their fixtures starting out the season. Huddersfield don't have the greatest set of fixtures to start. Chelsea, City, they do play Cardiff. They have, Crystal Palace, Leicester in there, but it's going to be tough to really push for him, even though he did have 103 saves last season. So still a pretty good shout for him to be brought in there. One interesting option would be Patricio. Yeah, obviously has nothing going on there. Coming from Portugal. Sorry, name is escaping me right now. But Wolverhampton doesn't have the worst set of fixtures to start the season here. Everton, I think, is going to be tougher than what they're thinking it is. But I think that the Patricio has some great value there, and I'm actually thinking about bringing him over. I'm just going to do it now. Bringing him over instead of Hennessy there. So some of the things that I have been considering are looking at building a fairly strong defense. Azpilicueta, Alonso, the two issues with them are whether or not they're really going to get full playing time. Same thing with some of these City defenders. Now, I think once Walker comes back from international from his little break from World Cup. I think he's going to get a starting spot there. The one name that's been tossed around a lot that I'm thinking about going with is Mendy. Great attacking potential, and we know that City really does like to use their fullbacks. At 6.0, it's still a little bit high here, but I think it's good value for money with him. I think there's some, an argument for finding good value in picking up defenders who are going to be scoring a lot of points. Even if it is 6.0, there's, get a guy, Otamendi 6.5, that brings in 156 points. That's a pretty good tally for the season. Compare him to Pedro from last year, scored a total of 81 points, and he is at 6.5. So you could definitely make an argument that it is better value to have a 6.5 defender than it is to have a 6.5 midfielder. Part of it is going to depend on who that 6.5 midfielder is. All right, so just kind of thinking through, maybe taking even like a team-by-team look here. Bellerin for Arsenal could be he's a good attacking option. Going to be interesting to see how new manager Emery there does, what he's actually going to do with this team. Is Socrates going to play? Is Lichtsteiner going to play? Especially to start, they definitely have a good chance with Kolasinac and Koscielny out. Something to look at there. Bournemouth, I thought about bringing in Steve Cook or Charlie Daniels. I had both of them in some of my previous ones. I think those are about the only two that I would consider. I know Ake is up there, but at 5.0, I don't know if I really want a Bournemouth defender that badly. The big one here, I think, is Ben Mee. Tarkowski did pretty well last season, but Ben Mee is playing out on the wing there. I think he has a lot more potential for attacking points. Cardiff, I think it's better to just kind of skip Cardiff, honestly. Chelsea is, how's Sarri going to set up? Is he going to allow Azpilicueta? Is he going to allow Alonso to get forward? Even Moses, a good shout there, but are they going to be getting good, solid playing time? Last year's 3-5-2 that Conte was running meant that basically those three guys were able to play in nearly every match anyway. So kind of a toss-up there. I would consider bringing in, still considering bringing Azpilicueta in just because of his attacking threat, really. Could say the same thing for Alonso. Gets a lot of those extra goals from free kicks. 7 goals scored last season. It's pretty good. Moving on, Crystal Palace. Patrick Van Aanholt is a good one for picking up some of those attacking points. The big one here is Wan-Bissaka. At 4.0, he looks like he'll probably be in just about everybody. Well, maybe not. Only 10.7% of teams he's selected by, but I think he's a big kind of, I don't know if you want to call him a sleeper pick, but at 4.0, he's looking likely to be a starter. He has started in their preseason matches, so if you can get a starter at 4.0, I think that is pretty huge. Frees up a lot of space elsewhere. Even if you don't have him starting every match, at least you have a bench player who has a possibility of getting starting points. James Tompkins is another decent shout here that you might want to go with him. I would say I'm still considering bringing in Van Aanholt here. If we do move on to skip ahead to Everton, actually, since I have Coleman in my team. I'm thinking about Coleman just because of, bring up my fixtures planner here, just because of their fixtures to start out the season look pretty nice up until you get Arsenal. But even after that, you have Fulham. So I don't have it going any farther than Gameweek 7, but I think it's a good look there. And speaking of the fixtures planner, I am hoping by tomorrow to have a new article out. Maybe I want to try to look at who has the easiest fixtures to start out. Probably should have had that done before doing the video, but I really wanted to get the video out there, and wanted to make time to get this video out, and I'll work on the rest of that later. Leighton Baines had a big season. Oh wow, what was that, like 2 years ago? But since then, maybe it was. I mean, he's had decent seasons in the past, but past couple seasons not really been as great. New manager Silva is a really good attacking manager, so might be a good chance to get some points there. Kenny, I think, would be the other one to look at, just because of his price tag more than anything. So scrolling down here, Fulham, I don't think you really want anybody. I know you have Alfie Mawson here, but honestly, it's Fulham. Give it some time, then maybe jump in with them, but for now, I would say avoid them. Schindler and Zonka are the two big ones to look at here. They're really the only two for Huddersfield, and again, my issue with them is they start out with a pretty rough schedule. I don't know that I really want to go with any Huddersfield players to start, but Schindler and Zonka do have a chance to get some points from attacking, if possible. Harry Maguire and we have our friend Benjamin Chilwell here. Both of them have good attacking points. Those are the two that I would look at. I don't know that I really want either of them to start the season, though, just because they have other than Wolverhampton, they have a pretty tough schedule to start out. So I'm kind of avoiding them. Liverpool. Now, the issue with Liverpool is you have so many other players that you might want to bring in. I think Alisson is probably a good chance for some clean sheets this season. They were pretty solid the end of especially second half of last season after bringing in Van Dijk. Van Dijk is definitely a big one to look at. The problem with Van Dijk and Robertson, both of them, I think are good options, but at 6.0, you're going to have to be careful about where you're spending the rest of your money there. Robertson is the one that I was really considering bringing in. I mean, sorry, I almost forgot about Lovren. I do have Alexander-Arnold in there. If you want to still have a Liverpool defender but don't want to spend too much, he is probably the best choice there at 5.0. But I was thinking I might try to make room for Robertson. So what that would really leave me with is something like main reason to bring in a Robertson here is Liverpool's starting fixtures are really nice. Looks like I would say that those are basically looking at least 4 clean sheets in a row, plenty of goals. Robertson's an attacking defender, good chance to get some goals there. So if we go back here, maybe throw in Van Aanholt and start seeing what this is going to look like. Main reason for having Bednarik in there is his 4.0 price tag that just kind of clears some room for some other players. Actually, I think I might want to go, skipping ahead here, I think I might want to go with Benjamin Mendy. See what this starts to look like here. Moving forward, the problem with United is just you have Valencia that's out, Young, Bailly out, Rojo. You're kind of left with, I did have Shaw in a previous one. Now, there's going to be rotation. Smalling and Jones should be back in there, but I think as the season progresses, I'm worried about rotation there. Should be able to get some clean sheets, which is a nice thing. I mean, 18 clean sheets last season is really good. But like I said, the rotation issue is what I have a problem with as far as they go, as far as United defenders go. Newcastle actually were fairly strong defensively. Lejeune is one who I was thinking about picking up actually, but he's currently out with a knee injury. Not sure when he's going to be back, so that kind of puts him out. Lascelles at 5.0, I don't know how badly I really want Newcastle defender. They have some good fixtures. They actually have really good fixtures to start out the season. So, oh, sorry, I was looking at United. So Newcastle do not have great fixtures, but they do. They were defensively solid especially the second half of last season. So, something to look at. I would say closer to game week 7. Going on game week 8 would be a better time to look at them. The thing with United, though, if we go back to them, is they do have a great set of fixtures to start the season. Good chance for some clean sheets. That might be a reason to go pick up some of their defenders. Southampton, Cedric, Bertrand, both great picks. I mean, especially Cedric at 4.5 would be a bigger reason to pick him. Played just about 2,800 minutes compared to Bertrand's 3,100. Breakdown, not going to do the math for that real quick here, but I like Cedric better here. Problem is where to really slot him in. Maybe instead of Van Aanholt, save a little bit of cash in that area. Spurs defenders are great at 6.0. You know what you're going to get. Nice thing about that is they're a great option to kind of alternate here. Robertson 6.0, Mendy 6.0. Start dropping in any of these guys. Trippier is one who I really think about getting. If he's back, when he's back. I mean, for now, has him listed as available. I guess we'll just kind of see the way that Pochettino starts out the season with these guys that played in the World Cup. Last few here, I would say avoid Watford. I would say they're ones that are due for the drop. West Ham, you have Cresswell, Ogbonna. Those are two good picks, I think, especially Ogbonna at 4.5. Cresswell is a great attacking option. The issue with West Ham is they do have a very difficult run here. One thing to consider as far as West Ham goes is being able to kind of split West Ham Southampton. So Southampton plays Burnley, West Ham. So basically we have Southampton game week 1, West Ham game week 2, switch back to Southampton for game week 3, then back to West Ham for game week 4. They have a nice little alternating pattern there, so it could be worth looking at. Let's see, even if I do something like this, being able to sit Ogbonna for the first week, but then start him on the second, sit Cedric, alternating back and forth, is what I think I might do. Wolves, again, they're another unknown, but they have some guys that, have shown their abilities in the championship. Is whether or not it can carry over into the Premier League. So let's jump right back in. Go back the other way. Neves and Jota are the two big ones for Wolverhampton. And I'm actually thinking that I might, it's such a tough call here, but I'm thinking I might actually go with Jota here. Heard good things about him. He's a bit like Richarlison was last year. He's rather selfish, likes to shoot. What I hear, 2.7 shots per game last season. Gets a lot of shots on goal, a lot of shots on target. So never know when one of those is going to go in. Never know when he's going to be one that hits a hat trick. So I'm going to go with him. Avoiding forwards from Wolverhampton. Again, I have Patricio here in goal. West Ham, again, their opening fixtures aren't great. Lanzini is out, so I'm saying avoid their midfield, but Arnautovic is a pretty good option up front. It's just a matter of who you drop up front. Watford, I'd say avoid any of them. There are better options as far as forwards go. There's better options as far as midfielders go. Pereira is actually one. I would say Pereira, maybe, well, Deulofeu is out. May or may not play this weekend, but Pereira is one that's, not a bad call. Personally, I think I'm avoiding Watford. Fixtures, I mean, yeah, they have Brighton Hove Albion, but still, I don't know. I think you find better value elsewhere. Spurs, you know what you're going to get. Eriksen, Son, both of them great options. Ali, I don't know if he'll be playing to start. Kane up front. Again, that's another one. I would say avoid him for now, just because it's too much of a risk. And I think you're better off having Salah anyway. Eriksen, you could definitely make room for Eriksen. I'm thinking of dropping Sanchez anyway, so just get him out of there now. Southampton. Ward-Prowse is probably your best option as far as midfielders go. They did bring in... Yeah, I think this is... Yeah, I'm thinking of El Yunusi. No idea if I got that right, but he's one that is kind of a Dusan Tadic, Sadio Mane replacement, so could be the next guy to be their playmaker. Hopefully he does better than Tadic, but for now I'm going to hold off. He's somebody to keep an eye on. Watch out for him. Ward-Prowse might be a decent option as far as, again, the rotation. All right, moving on. Newcastle. I'm not impressed with many of their midfield options other than maybe Kennedy. Ayoze Perez really turned it on at the end of last season, and he's somebody who at 6.5 is right there on that edge where if you have the room for him, he might be a good shout to throw in there. Based on their fixtures to start, I'm avoiding him, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I would say Newcastle midfield, Newcastle in general, somebody to look out for in a few weeks. One of the big things from this week is maximum number. Hearing that Martial is most likely going to play this weekend, and he's somebody who's so dynamic, can score goals. He's going to get you points from his creativity. Hopefully get you some of those bonus points in there too. Up front, Rashford may or may not be back. Lukaku may or may not be back. Most likely the two of them will be out, meaning that I would guess that Martial will be playing up front. And then Sanchez. Sanchez is one of those guys that the main reason I dropped him is because at 10.5, I'm worried that it's too much and he's not going to bring me enough value for his price tag. I would like to get him in, but that's going based on his previous seasons where he did well, and I don't know. I just don't know that he's going to be able to do it with Mourinho as the manager. Now the big issue with City is they have so many midfielders. Who's going to play? Who's going to sit the bench? Who's going to be rotated? I know Aguero, everybody says how much he's FPL gold, but I can't bring myself to throw him in the team at 11.0 when I think that there are other options available. It's just so hard to decide on Aguero. It's currently have Aubameyang, so it's kind of a toss-up between the two of them, or maybe even Firmino. Might end up going with him anyway. Again, with their midfield, I really feel like Sterling's 11.0 price tag might be too much. He scored 229 points, but he's only 2 million less than Salah's 303, which is, almost 80 points different. I don't know that it's worth it. De Bruyne, he's going to get points. I had him to start the season last year, ended up dropping him, and that was a pretty big mistake. I thought he was playing too far back to start the season, but he ended up pushing up farther as the season went on, so who knows if that's what's going to happen. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with any City player. If you want to throw him in there, do it. It's kind of as simple as that. Salah, in my opinion, he is a must-have. You you can't go wrong with him. Now, this is the area of like which other Liverpool players do you want in your team? Is it a matter of going with, like I did with Robertson in defense, and then throwing in Firmino up front? I kind of like that. I think Firmino is going to do well this season. 15 goals last season. I wouldn't be surprised if he equals. I'm sure he will equal that. I wouldn't be surprised if he does better than that this season. Mane, I don't know that I would go with Shaqiri. I don't know where he's going to get really great playing time and really get the FPL points that you need. I don't know. Could prove me wrong. May be a great pick in there, but I think that there are other players that you can bring in. But I guess the nice thing is, say he does well, Martial does not. Nice little swap there at 7.5. Moving on, Leicester. Again, I'm saying to avoid Leicester for now. Vardy, I don't think is going to be back. Now, James Maddison here, he's one to keep an eye on. Just going to watch him. Literally put him on my watch list. So keep an eye out for him, see how he's doing after the first week or two, if he's getting any playing time. Moving on. Huddersfield. Again, Huddersfield's one of those teams that nothing really excites me. Pritchard is supposed to be good, but I don't know that he's really proved it. Aaron Moy would not be a bad pick, but it's one of those, if you're really looking for somebody cheap, you could throw them in there. Moy is going to start, so you want somebody on the bench that's, 5.5 isn't a terrible price for that, where you're going to get there on the bench of being able to come in if somebody ends up being injured. Same thing with Fulham. Sessegnon is one. His 6.5, I would feel better if he was a little bit cheaper than that. Same thing with Mitrovic. I feel like their price tags are a little bit too high. That kind of turns me off from them, because of them being a newly promoted team, having not the greatest set of fixtures to start, although they do play Brighton in there. Richarlison and Sigurdsson are the two here. I know Sigurdsson didn't play well last year, but he did have the super slow Wayne Rooney up front. Now that they have Tosun, I think that he's going to do a little bit better this season. Now they had a chance to see what the Premier League is all about. Richarlison back there too. Definitely some opportunities for Sigurdsson to get some points this season. So don't be surprised by him getting some points. I did have Richarlison in a previous build. May or may not throw him in. I mean, at the moment, I'm sorely lacking in funds, so I'm going to have to make some big changes there. Crystal Palace midfield has some decent options, especially Andros Townsend, great crosser, 9 assists last season. Now Milivojevic, the main reason that I'm avoiding him is he gets so many goals from penalties, and yeah, they have some quick players, guys like Zaha, that are able to pick up the penalties, but I don't like to rely on somebody to get points from penalties. MacArthur is a pretty decent 5.0 midfield option. Create some room for somebody else in there if you want to go with more of a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, or 3-4-3, something like that. Want somebody on the bench. MacArthur is a pretty decent one to be able to fill in. Chelsea looks well. I mean, Hazard, Willian are still with Chelsea for now. Who knows if they're going to move on or not. So, out of those two, Hazard, with this new manager, he could be returning to FPL Gold. I almost feel like I just need to kind of wait and see with him. So I might actually try to go back to maybe Sanchez, and if it might be a matter of swapping the two out. It's going to be tough. Chelsea have Huddersfield, which they should roll over pretty easily, and then they play Arsenal. So seeing how he does against Arsenal would probably be a good indicator of how he's going to do this season. Cardiff, again, I'm not really interested in Cardiff right now. Kind of a wait and see with them. Nobody really jumps out at me. Maybe Reed, about the only one that I would think about. Goodmanson. Burnley's attacking isn't that great, but Wood's a pretty decent one at 6.5. Again, he's one I'd rather be a little lower, but 6.5 is a pretty good one to throw in there. Pascal Gross is really the only attacking player from Brighton that I would go with. He surprised a lot of people last season. That's part of why he has a 7.0 price tag. I think for now I'm going to stick with Jota instead of Gross, but if somebody, try to swap around there a little bit. Oh, I did miss Duffy and Dunk as far as defenders go. And Brighton, they could have a worse start. It's really not that great, though. So probably a good reason to avoid really any Brighton players. And Ryan, too, is a good shout for a goalkeeper. So moving along, got two more to get through here. Callum Wilson, I think he's one I'm really thinking about putting in there. It's kind of a toss-up here. I've got Zaha and Arnautovic, and I'm not quite sure what to do with them because I got to create some room if I want to keep any of this midfield the way it is. Same thing in my defense. So what I will probably do is try to post my final team then tomorrow some point. I'll probably have to form my team in the morning. So I'll just have to get my team together and throw up a post in the morning. Maybe throw it in with this post anyway. All right, so up front, Lacazette, Aubameyang. Aubameyang is one. I think he's going to be really explosive this season. And it's such a toss-up right now with this team. A lot of guys that I like, and you just don't have room for it. But looking at this is where I think breaking down the fixtures is going to help. Arsenal's start to the season isn't that great, so it might be worth it to hold off, bring in Aubameyang in game week 3 instead. Same thing with Mkhitaryan at 7.0. Pretty easy swap there with some of these other guys that are right in around there. Trying to create some room for some of those swaps is what I think I might end up doing. So those are kind of some of the things that I am thinking about, some of the things that I'm trying to look at, especially since I'm going to hold off on my transfer after game week 1 and try to make some room for game week 3 to have 2 transfers, 2 of my free transfers. Probably looking at bringing in some of those Arsenal players there. Holding on to my Liverpool players, trying to figure out what's going on with City as far as who to bring in with them. So I think looking at this, it's looking pretty good. I think I might have to do something, swap around a few things in here so that I'm able to do some of these quick swaps, assuming that they're going to be in or around